Welcome, episode 4 of Shane Talks 2. Annette Reynolds. Annette, it's been a while. The last time we were together was when we did the recording for the Shane Talks finale. Appreciate you doing that. How have you been since then?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me back. It's good to be
Yeah,
here.
absolutely. I very much appreciate you being on here. I very much appreciate you being my first female guest of season 2. I very much am looking forward to talking to you. Let's do a little backstory of a couple of let's do some housekeeping before we get into this episode. Number one, when I reached out to everybody and asked them to be involved with this season of the show, I played a little game with myself. And that little game was, what movie do I think they're gonna pick to talk about? And I thought I had you 100%. I was sure that I knew what you were gonna pick. And I was excited because it meant we were gonna get to talk about like a 1999 film that has an amazing soundtrack. And I see the poster behind you, and I 100% thought Full Intentions was going to be the movie you wanted to talk about. And then it wasn't. And then you threw me for a loop by picking the movie Great Expectations from 1998, which is a phenomenal film. I very much enjoy that movie and would have been fine talking about that. So I wrote that script for us to talk about. And then I get a text. And the text goes, "Hey, Shane, ever since Rob Reiner passed away, I've really kind of been thinking about him and his movies a lot, and I'd really like to change my movie. And you wanted to do what we're going to talk about tonight, which is When Harry Met Sally, which is a phenomenal film as well as those other two that I have mentioned. So we'll get into that movie here in just a minute. But talk about that reasoning, why you wanted it, what made you change and want to talk about Rob Reiner.
Well, because of his tragic passing, I just feel like I went down like a rabbit hole of just Rob Reiner everything. And so I really wanted to talk about him and his huge body of work, which is very hard to pick on good because he's done so much.
Oh
But
yeah,
I
we'll
really
get
want
into
to
that.
talk about him. And yes, you are right. I love Cruel Intentions. I also love Great Expectations, but because you'd already done all of the 1999 stuff,
Uh,
I thought that maybe we had already talked about that film too much, and I didn't want to just be like a repeat um, on stuff we've already talked about.
Understandable. Like I understand your logic. It just made me mad that I was wrong. Like you know how I don't like being wrong about stuff. So I was just really frustrated about the fact that I didn't guess your movie right. So the next thing I want to address is the fact that you were originally supposed to be our third guest. You were supposed to when I first reached out to you, you were going to be our episode 3 guest. And then I started putting the whole calendar together for the year. I started putting all the episodes together, and based on the movies people had told me, I was slotting them into where I wanted to do them based on what the movie was and release dates or themes or things like that. And I learned that out of all of the people that I've reached out to thus far about being on the podcast, nobody wants to talk about rom-coms or anything that I could put in my Valentine's Day episode when I realized that there was going to be an episode released on February 13th. I had a sci-fi movie. I had a stoner comedy. I had a horror film. I got zombies coming up. I've got aliens coming up. I've got all of this other stuff. I've got more horror films coming up. Nobody wants to talk about anything that's romantic or even close to romantic. And so when I looked at all the movies and I saw, I mean, I would have probably done this even with Great Expectations because it's romantic-ish, but I literally had to go, Annette, I need to bump you back to episode 4 so that you can be on the Valentine's Day episode. So I appreciate, first of all, I appreciate the fact that you picked something that fits this weekend.
Oh, good.
But yes, so thank you very much for that. Um, when Harry Met Sally was released on July 21st of 1989, as I said, it's the only rom-com so far that anybody has told me they want to talk about. So for our Valentine's Day episode, I need to ask you first off, is When Harry Met Sally your favorite film of all time? And if it's not, that's fine. Tell me what your favorite film of all time is.
This is such a hard question, and you always ask it, but there's not just like one film I think that just always speaks to me because I have, different moods that I'm, in the mood for. Like sometimes Back to the Future is my jam, and I always love that film. And then sometimes I just want to watch Reese Witherspoon uh in Sweet Home Alabama. Like there's some stuff I just want to play over and over again, and maybe that's favorite. But then there's some movies I love that I do not want to watch again because they're so heavy and
Okay.
like hard, like Crash.
Okay.
I love that movie. I do
Great
not
movie.
want to just have it on because it's
No,
so
it's
heavy.
it deals with some serious stuff.
Exactly. So like favorite is so complicated for me. So I don't have a favorite.
Like
Is
I think moving forward, I need to just change this question and make everybody tell me what their letterbox top four is or something like that. Like nobody up until this point has been able to tell me what their favorite film of all time is. So I think it's time for me to start reconsidering this question on the script.
Well, it's too hard. It's too hard to narrow it down because so much art is amazing for different reasons. And maybe narrow it down to like, what do you always want to play that makes you feel good? What's your
Okay.
like kind of like narrow it down to like what vibe the vibes, I guess, like favorite when were a kid or I don't know, favorite rom or genre maybe, or I don't know, but like it's just too
Hmm.
broad. It's
Okay. The HR department has received your feedback.
Hmm. Hmm.
We will take that into consideration. All right.
Oh,
Forget
good.
my question. Let's move on. When Harry Met Sally, do you remember the first time that you ever saw this movie? Do you remember where you were? Like age wise, I'm saying this probably needs to be like a VHS rental for you. Obviously, I don't think you were going to the theater at this point.
So I was first introduced to this film in college when I was in a film class, and they actually showed in class the restaurant scene with
Oh, okay.
the faking it.
Yep.
And so they played that scene in class, and then we discussed it. And after that, I was like, okay, well, now I need to know the movie that goes with this scene. So
Uh-huh.
I watched it in like my dorm room, you know, um, later then. I was probably like 18, 19 years old when I saw
Okay.
it, but I just loved it.
All right. Tell me about that experience in your dorm room. Like what made you connect with it that first time?
I just think that the everyone's really relatable, and these are
Okay.
conversations that like girls have with girls and guys have with guys, right? It's like you know, like, and the big question is, can, you know, boys and girls be friends, right?
Sure.
And that just seems to be such a common theme of like just life
Sure.
of can we be friends and people wanting to be more than friends and not being on the same page and just it's just such a relatable topic, you know?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Understandable. So, before we start talking about the pieces of the movie, let's talk about what people usually see before they actually see a movie, whether they're going to it in the theater and they see the movie poster at the Cineplex, or if they're strolling through Blockbuster Video looking at box arts to decide what they're going to pick out. Um, Between the theatrical one sheet for this film, which is somewhat plain, it's got the two of them standing on a solid white background with the New York skyline below them. Or the oh yep, there you go. You've got the comparison right there. Or there's the other one that is them standing. It's literally this. It's essentially the almost exact same pictures of them, but then it has them in like Central Park in the home video version. Do you have a preference between those two posters?
So it is actually the same, like they're standing in the same positions.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the one with the foliage and the leaves in the background in the woods. Or I guess it's the park.
Yeah.
Because it just is warm. It's
Mm-hmm.
like comforting. It feels very like flirty, more so
Okay.
than the city one, which actually feels colder. I know it's a
Oh, interesting.
color thing, but it really does. It feels colder to me. And this one feels
I
warm
can
and
buy that.
flirty. So yeah. But I love the DVD home photo.
You've got me trying to think now of like what the psychology would be behind having them stand on the white background and then having the city below them. like trying to say that the two of them are bigger than the city itself, and that the two of them on the white back. I don't know. I'm definitely overanalyzing this poster now that you brought that up.
But there has to be something to that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, like you would think, like, what's the point of having them stand out so much with the white background and nothing but like it literally just focuses on them, and then you've got the small skyline below them, literally just being like these are two big people, two large people, and the big city is small. I don't know. I'm definitely probably overthinking it. It's just my brain being dumb.
I think maybe in the theater, right? Since no one's seen it before, no one knows what's going to happen. It kind of leaves a mystery of like, okay, here are these two people in the city, right? Like these,
Okay.
what's going to happen here? And maybe when you're going to buy the DVD, you're reminded of them walking in the park, giggling together, having fun together, and you already know that they're a love story. So you're drawn in by the warmness of that and knowing, the story versus, um, you know,
What's the tagline on here?
I was
Can
trying
two
to read it. It's
friends
too tiny.
can two friends sleep together and still love each other in the morning? Okay, all right.
Mm.
That's
Hmm.
an interesting tagline for that. All right.
Well, but they
Well,
always say that, um, I think the quote is like, once you sleep together, it ruins the whole friendship, and that's why uh men and women can't be friends, right? Or yeah, or one always wants to sleep with the other one, right? Like there's
yep.
that dilemma.
Yep,
Yeah.
there's always that conversation.
Yeah.
All right, let us dive into the movie now. And when we dive into the movie, we start with the man who you wanted to talk about. Let's start talking about Rob Reiner here. Rob Reiner has an amazing filmography, literally like 8 years in a row, dropped a like massive hit, amazing film. And the greatest part about it is this dude jumps genres like no other director I've ever seen in my entire life. This is the dude that did Spinal Tap, The Princess Bride, Stand By Me, The American President, Sleepless in Seattle, A Few Good Men, Misery, and then he directed one of my all-time favorites because it's from 1999, and that's a movie called The Story of Us with Bruce Willis and Michelle Pfeiffer. That's I, it's kind of like the anti-version of this movie. It's about a married couple who are trying to decide if they're going to get divorced or not, but like still, absolutely amazing drama that he directed. But he directed horror films like Misery. He directed courtroom dramas like A Few Good Men, comedies like Spinal Tap. The Princess Bride is just absolutely amazing for billions of reasons. Stand By Me was a Stephen King novel. Like The American President's another genre. Like he's all over the place and he does all of them so well. So out of all of those movies, is When Harry Met Sally his best, or what do you think is his best film he's ever made?
That's too hard. Why do you always have
You
these
have to get over these hard questions. You have to be able to say he's got these things, and I can put them in order of what I actually think is his best work.
I really like this film.
Okay.
But I have there are things of each of the other ones that I appreciate for their own. Like Spinal Tap
Mhm.
created the mockumentary genre. Like
100%.
he created his own genre. That's incredible. And everyone thought he was crazy when he was making it. They didn't get it. They were like, "What are you doing?" And
Well, and then
and
the director Christopher Guest took that and just ran with it and made a bunch of other mockumentaries.
yeah. So like mad props for creating a a genre. That's incredible. And The Princess Bride like is so quotable. Like I
Absolutely.
quote that all the time. As you wish. Marriage. Like I just like I quote that film a lot. And
Mhm.
I don't know, that one has a special part in my Sleepless in Seattle's amazing. He's just good. He's good.
He is great. He is absolutely great. But if I had to ask, if you could only watch one Rob Reiner film for the rest of your life, which one would you pick to watch? Would it be this one, or would it be The Princess Bride?
Or Stand By Me is really good.
Same on Me is amazing too.
I know.
You said earlier that heavy films aren't your favorite. I feel like if you could only
See?
watch one forever, like Stand By Me is probably not the one you're going to want to go with. Like, The Princess Bride has romance and swashbuckling swords and drama and humor and comedy. And I feel like, personally, just my opinion is that The Princess Bride is probably his best film that he's ever made, just because I think it has so many things. It's such a wonderful story. It's got so
Hmm.
many, as you said, quotable lines, quotable characters.
Yeah.
It's a adventure. So that's just my personal opinion. Is I would
Yeah.
have to pick Princess Bride if I was picking his best film.
If I were going by the most rewatchable that I would want to have just on, it
Mhm.
probably is When Harry Met Sally, because I think I could just watch this film all the time and not get sick of it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And not a directing thing of his, but as an actor, I don't know if you watched the TV show The Bear, but he is on The Bear and he is absolutely amazing. And he's just a small side character in The Bear, but it's like that was when he was unfortunately when he unfortunately passed away. Like, that was my first thought. It was weird because it wasn't about like, oh no, I'm not going to get to see Rob Reiner direct another movie. It was, ah, crap, what are they going to do with his character on The Bear? Like, I really,
Oh, is that
yeah.
like being filmed like at like it was still going on?
Yeah, see, the next season should be done. Like, whatever he is involved in the next season, I believe it's done because I think it's coming out this fall, or I'm sorry,
Okay.
this July, I think. But I mean, it's going to be. I'm curious to see what they will end. And I mean, like, they probably just don't like. He's not a super major important character. He's just a side character that comes and goes from time to time. So, like,
Hmm.
it's not going to be like, oh my God, we have to rewrite this guy that was in every single episode and was around all the time. But it's just
Hmm.
still kind of like that. That's the most recent thing that I've seen him in and thought about him in was like, crap, man, like I love that show, and now the show is going to be affected by this. And so yeah, that was just me. What
Yeah.
what what has been a lot of your, since his unfortunate death? What has been your mindset, the things that have been on your mind about Rob Reiner and why you wanted to talk about him?
Um, well, did you ever see New Girl, like the TV
I've seen
show?
some episodes.
So he also played Jess's dad in,
Oh, I did not know that.
in
Okay.
New Girl. And that is a show that I just rewatch, you
Okay.
know? And I've probably watched the whole thing through 3 or 4 times. But he just does such a good job, like just showing up and being a side character that's hilarious. Um, and I think Rob Reiner is just somebody I feel like I know. Like he
Okay.
feels like a comfortable person that's just always been present in my life from
Mhm.
all of his films and stuff. And like he was on that sitcom when he was younger.
Yeah.
Uh
All in the
I
Family.
yes.
Yeah.
I think that's
No,
it.
All in the Family. I think it's
All in
All
the
in the
Family.
Family.
Yeah. And have you seen that scene where they talk about like putting on shoes and socks?
I
It's like
believe so.
either sock or
Yep.
sock shoe
Shoot.
or
Shoot.
sock
Shoot.
shoe.
Shoot. Yep.
Whole scene about it. And they're just
Yep.
making, I mean, they're making it up, but it's hilarious.
Yep.
It's just so I think it's just his spirit and like everybody who's talked about him. So on all of my feeds and stuff, because I'm in like video production groups, people who actually worked with him all started sharing their stories.
Oh wow.
And he's the most lovable dude. Everyone had
I
good
buy it.
things, everyone had good things to say about him. Like
That's awesome.
they were just like, he's incredible, he's human, he's positive, like he's just like was a shining light and he was just really good to all of the people in his life. Like, and he touched everybody, even if you were a fan that was like, oh my God, I love your films. Like he would really interact with fans and just be positive and make their day, you know? Um, so I think I just enjoyed hearing more about him as a human and how truly of a good guy he was.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Everything that I've read about him or seen, like, back in the day, we used to get the DVDs so that I could watch the, documentaries and the behind the scenes stuff and listen to director commentaries and things like that. And everything from his films, the ones that we talked about earlier that I bought the collector, like, Spinal Tap as a Criterion edition, like, so there's all kinds of stuff on the Spinal Tap one. But yeah, every behind the scenes thing I have ever seen of him, every interview I've ever seen with him, he seems so legit and so nice and so cool and just so like personable, and like it's obvious how he gets the performances that he does across all of the genres that he did, just because he knew people and knew how to get what he needed from them. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's awesome to hear that the people that you know had those kind of stories to tell about him.
Yeah, yeah. And he was here, so Heartland Film Festival that takes place in Indianapolis. I think he came to Indy maybe like 2016-ish or somewhere around
Okay.
there. And they had a screening, I think, of Stand By Me, and he was there and like did questions and stuff beforehand. I was working the event, so I didn't get to talk, like be a part of that, but I did see him, walking by with a bunch of people.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he had a little mob of people who were all asking him questions, and he was just being real personable and just talking to everybody. It was really cool to just kind of be in his aura for a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's super cool. I don't remember that screening. I'm sad that I didn't go see that. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I'll have to
I
look
try to
up the
check.
date.
Okay,
Yeah, but
I try to check Heartland's schedule every time they announce it to see if there's anything that I'm interested in, but I
yeah,
definitely missed that.
yeah.
All right, let's move on to the genius who wrote this film, because I think this woman is one of the best female writers we've ever had. I wish she wrote more stuff, because everything that she's written that I've seen, I think, is top notch. Well, we're talking about Nora Ephron. Aside from this movie that she wrote, she was also behind Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail, two huge rom coms in the '90s. Julie and Julia, which it probably is lower down on my list of things that I like of hers. I don't think I was her right audience for that, but she, in 1994, wrote one of my favorite Christmas movies that is one of the dumbest Christmas movies ever, but it's Steve Martin and it's Adam Sandler, and it's just a whole cast of ridiculous comedians and whatnot. And it's a movie called Mixed Nuts. And it's really bad. It's about a bunch of people working at a suicide hotline on Christmas Eve. And like, it's so bonkers over the top ridiculous comedy. But like, I think I have a special place for it, because like when I was obsessed with Adam Sandler, like in the mid '90s there wasn't 100 Adam Sandler movies. There was like five or six Adam Sandler movies, and Mixed Nuts was one of them. It was it was Airheads, and then Billy Madison, and then Happy Gilmore, and then Mixed Nuts, and then I was just like so I think the reason it's got such a special place in my heart is because it's Adam Sandler and it's a Christmas movie. But like, I still love it. I love the fact that she wrote it. As far as Nora Ephron films go, do you think this is the best thing she's written, or do you like any of those other ones better?
So I think my favorite film of hers is You've Got Mail.
Okay.
There's something about that film I just love because of the two through lines of them uh like hating each other and then liking each other depending on the
Okay.
circumstance. There's something about that I just love that she did the thin line between like love and hate?
I can buy that for sure. And You Got Mail is a great movie. And it's actually funny. There's some kind of connection. Oh crap, what is it? There is some kind of connection between When Harry Met Sally and how she ended up writing You've Got Mail. It's got something to do with like the bookstore scene
Oh,
in When
really?
Harry Met Sally. And then it had to do with like that bookstore ended up going out of business because of like the big like the Barnes and Noble and the big store boom or
Okay.
whatever. And so because that store went out of business, it kind of is what drove her to end up like having the idea to write You've Got Mail. It's something along those lines. I can't exactly remember, but it's
That's really
really cool that
cool.
like this film inspired, I believe, what ended up becoming You've Got Mail.
Yeah, yeah, that's really awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So let us move on to our leads. Our lead actor is Billy Crystal, who we don't have 3 hours of a podcast to go over every great movie that he's ever done. So I'm just going to throw out a couple of the ones that I like the most, and then you can tell me what you like the most that Billy Crystal has done. He did both the City Slicker movies. He did a movie called Mr. Saturday Night, which I think is absolutely amazing. Throw Mama from the Train. Forget Paris is one that like I don't think it's like a great movie, but I think because I like basketball so much that I enjoy seeing him with like NBA players from the '90s and whatnot. So Forget Paris was fun. Analyze This was great. Analyze That was not so good. America's Sweethearts was a fun movie.
Oh yeah.
And he did the voice in Monsters Inc. So, what have I forgotten? What's your favorite thing he's ever done? Like, what's your Billy Crystal movie?
So this is so silly, but I love Monsters Inc. The Mike
Good.
Mike Wazowski, like,
Mhm.
and I think it's just because it's so easy to put that film on and just watch it over and over again, and it's just so sweet and adorable, and like, I don't know, I just love him in that. I think he's hilarious.
I definitely agree with you on that. It's
Yeah,
absolutely fun.
yeah.
Anything you want to say about any of those other movies? Anything else on there that you really like?
Um, I do really like. I think my second favorite is When Harry Met Sally because I love him in this film. I think
He's really good.
he's really like charming and down to earth and hilarious and just relatable. Like,
And
yeah,
rewatching this movie, like they do a really good job. I just watched it recently so that we can talk about it. When at the beginning of the like they age them well throughout this movie. Like at the
yeah,
beginning of the film, I buy the fact that he's fresh out of college, and then like as his facial hair changes and as his haircut changes throughout the film, like I understand that they filmed this, over the course of a year or whatever, but like they do a good job of making me feel like they aged his character. I think the movie's supposed to take place over like 12 years or whatever. Like I think they
yeah.
do. I think they do a good job of making it feel like that.
He's actually wearing a wig there in the beginning to
See,
try
okay.
and get his hair to look that like big and bushy. And then they have Meg in the like Farrah Fawcett hair.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, they put a lot of energy into like their hair and costuming to like make it look like this is what the same person would wear, but over like a decade because
Sure. That makes
your
sense.
style changes.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they really did a lot of like hairstyle changes, facial hair changes, and all that stuff. So in the beginning, they really do look young. Like
They absolutely do. Like
it's
I
insane.
absolutely. Well, like so the weird thing is like it, I saw it for the first time way back in the 90s or whatever. So rewatching it recently and whatnot at the beginning of the movie, I thought to myself, oh my God, wow, I forgot how young they were, at this time. And then like as the movie goes on and they progressively age, I'm like, oh no, like this is what he looked like in the 90s. Wait, oh man, like and so that like that's always just stuck out to me when I rewatched it recently was just like the fact of how good of a job they do making them look very young in the beginning and grow up. So
Yeah. They nailed it with
they did.
the
So
aging.
you mentioned Meg Ryan. Let's move on to Meg Ryan. Meg Ryan has done also an extremely long list of absolutely amazing films, starting with Top Gun. City of Angels is one of my favorite films of all time. Like it's in my top, I don't know, 25. Joe versus the Volcano, Sleepless in Seattle, we talked about. You've Got Mail, we've talked about. When a Man Loves a Woman is an absolutely amazing film. Her and Andy Garcia and like just dealing with alcoholism is an absolutely amazing film. And then one of my all-time favorite films, I don't know if you've ever seen this. Have you ever seen a film called In the Land of Women?
If not, no.
It's Kristen Stewart and Adam Brody, and Meg Ryan plays Kristen Stewart's mom.
Oh,
And
okay.
then he's in high school, Adam Brody's in college, and it's kind of a weird movie. And, I need to go back and rewatch it now that I'm starting to describe it because I don't know how well it's going to hold up in society now. But like
Sure.
Adam Brody is trying to date Kristen Stewart, but he's befriending Meg Ryan's character in the movie. So like they're growing a friendship while he's trying to date the daughter, and it's just I don't know. Like I really enjoy the movie. I should probably rewatch it to see if it still holds up.
How old is the movie?
2008,
Okay.
2010,
Okay.
somewhere around there.
Okay.
Kind
Yeah.
of one of Kristen Stewart's earlier films. Like I think it was after Twilight, so I think it got some bad press. Well, no, because when Twilight, I don't remember when Twilight was. I don't know. It was so long ago. I'm old.
Early
Uh,
2000s. I don't know.
yeah. So that doesn't matter. I, I
Yeah.
I I will share the trailer with you at some point. I'll rewatch it and
Okay.
let you know if it's worth it. But
Yeah.
it's one of my favorites. So what about you? What's your go-to Meg Ryan movie? I know you said that you really enjoy You've Got Mail, but is there any of her movies that you like better than that?
I really love City of Angels.
Oh yeah,
Again,
that's
it's a hard, sad one for like I don't want to rewatch it as often because it's sad. but I do love that film a lot. And the score and the soundtrack I used to listen to a lot back
Yeah.
when it came out.
That
So,
soundtrack is so full of bangers. Like that, like Jason and I talk about it all the time on the original podcast. Soundtracks in the 90s did something that we have never captured since then.
yeah.
And like City of Angels, prime example of it. Like it
Yep.
is one of the best soundtracks. You got Johnny Resnick and the Goo Goo Dolls on there, and like with that power ballad that is just banging. Like yeah. So yeah, City of Angels soundtrack, prime example of why the '90s soundtracks will never be beaten.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, if I remember correctly, because you are also a Star Wars fan, you're a big
Yes.
fan of Carrie Fisher,
I do love her. Yes.
and she has a great role in this movie as the sidekick. How do you feel about that? Is this Carrie Fisher's best movie, or is Star Wars her best movie, or where are you at on your Carrie Fisher feelings?
Oh man, I still have to say Star Wars is best because it's Star Wars, okay?
Absolutely.
But she's really cute in this film, and I love like the moments. Just there are so many little moments where she just nails it, like when she's going through like her Rolodex trying to find Meg a guy, and she's like, "Oh, he's married," and she doesn't rip up his number. She just like thumbs over the corner, like, "We'll save that later for when he's divorced," and she puts it back in the Rolodex.
Hmm.
And then when they're both like after the first date, they realize when they're doing the double date and they realize they like the opposite people.
Yep.
And the guy's like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna get a cab now." And she's like, "I'm going with you."
Yeah.
Like that stuff is just so hilarious. And it's
Yeah.
just
She is really fun in this movie.
yeah,
She's fun.
she nailed it. Yeah, she's just a great side friend character. Yeah.
Well, and then like so it's really weird because like the male side character, an actor named Bruno Kirby, um, they both passed away really young. Like they both passed away in their 50s or whatever. So like,
I didn't know that.
yeah, it's kind of weird. Like they end up getting married in the movie and whatnot, but it's always just
Yeah.
kind of a weird thing that when
Huh.
she passed away, he had passed away in his mid 50s also. So it was kind of
Wow.
a
Huh.
weird thing. Um,
That's
all right,
interesting.
there's really not any other actors in this movie to talk about. I mean, like the four of them are really the only real people. Any other character essentially only has like one scene with either one of them for the rest of the movie.
Well, I mean, I should say that like the most famous line where she says, "I'll have what she's having," is actually Rob Reiner's mom.
Oh, that's all. I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
cool.
that's his mom. He put her in the
Very nice.
scene, and so she's the "I'll have what she's having" line.
That's hilarious. Oh
And
man, that's really cool.
like I think his mom was so proud because there was like a list of like 100 most quotable film line one-liners of all time or something, and his mom's line got on there. So like she was
Oh,
so excited.
that is
But yeah,
really cool.
I thought it was really cool that he included, family in all his
Yeah,
stuff.
it's pretty cool. All
Yeah.
right, so I want you to think about the movie. I want you to think about the whole thing, and I want you, if I were to tell you, pick one shot, one scene, like one thing that sticks out to you as far as this movie goes. Like, what's that one shot for you? Like, is it visually, stylistically something that stands out to you, or is it just like a shot of the two of them that you like? Like, what would be the first scene that like sticks out from this movie for you?
Um, like photography wise, the coolest shot that I noticed was in the after they get off the airplane and they're walking on like there's a moving escalator, the like moving
The people
escalator thing.
movers. Yeah.
And he like comes up to her, is talking to her. They have a whole conversation. They're ducking behind around people having this conversation, and there's no cuts, none at all. It is just one continuous shot of like, and so the camera's moving because it's on a walking treadmill. The actors are also like moving in and out. It's a very impressive shot. If you want to go back and look at it, it's pretty cool. So I think that's my most like impressive moment of the scene. And then also, I know you mentioned the phone conversation stuff where
Yep.
they have after they sleep together, they call both of their friends
Yep.
and they're all on the phone at the same time. And
Yep.
what he did to put all of that together was incredible. Like they
So
all,
we were going to talk about that when we got down to the trivia, but we can
oh,
address it right now. It
okay.
was essentially like a stage. They
Yeah.
had the bedroom with the married couple in the bedroom in the middle. They had uh, Billy Crystal on a stage to one side, and they had Meg Ryan on a stage to the other side. All four of them were on the stage. All of the phones were wired together so that they could hear each other talking through the phones, and the scene that we see in the movie is done in one take. I believe there are cuts in the actual movie, but we're seeing the one scene that they I think they filmed it. I don't know. It might be in my notes later. They filmed it like 30 or 60 times or something like that to get it perfect, to get all of the timing down right between all of that conversation. But yeah, they essentially did that scene over and over again until they got the timing right between everybody, and then used the version that was perfect in the movie. And yeah, that's just it's like directors that think of doing stuff like that. Like, yeah, it probably sucks, and it probably makes like you could have edited any of those other takes together and made the scene essentially the same that it ended up being. But like to have the director that wanted to get that as perfect as possible and like make it a legit conversation, that's just genius, man. That's why he was on another level.
I think it's because he's an actor as well. And
Okay. Okay.
also his dad was an actor. And
Uh-huh.
so
Uh-huh.
he's like an actor's director, if you will, and he would shoot things so that the actors got a chance to just act and just exist and be. And so
Okay.
a lot of the shots you'll notice that he's just like the actors are carrying the scenes, not necessarily a lot of editing or cuts.
Sure.
So even them walking in the park and stuff, there's just one continuous shot of them just walking and there's no cuts. It's just the actors being able to play. And I think that him being a stage person and an actor himself, he likes that continuous, uninterrupted um, moment to let the actors act.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's definitely an emotional tool because obviously psychologically the cuts break up what's actually happening and whatnot. So doing the things like you were talking about with not having cuts in scenes, it gets you more emotionally invested in it because you don't have those cuts to psychologically jar you out of what you were getting invested in. So yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you on that. Um, yeah, I don't remember this or not. Are you a Harry Connick Jr. fan?
I mean, I like him, but I'm not like
Okay,
I like Frank Sinatra. I think he
okay, yeah,
sounds like Frank Sinatra
I
a
can give you
lot.
that for sure.
Yeah.
Because Harry Connick Jr. is all over this soundtrack. This
Yeah.
soundtrack is mostly instrumental. All the songs that are on it are Harry Connick Jr. music, except for, like you said, there's some Frank Sinatra stuff on there. There's the Allman Brothers on there. I'm a personal fan of the Allman Brothers. I love that song. Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald. So like, and I mean, Odd Lang Sing,
Oh,
however you say
yeah.
that.
The New Year's
That
song.
song, the New Year song,
Yeah.
it's in the movie twice. Um, any music in the movie that you particularly enjoy and or that doesn't go with a scene that you specifically like?
I think the reason that this the music and this film feels so like relatable and comfy is because all of the music in this is very like these are standard songs that we all know that we've all heard before and could be the soundtrack of our lives, right? Like
Okay.
these are these are classic standards that he did and he had a guy like arrange some of them, but a lot of for the film, but a lot of them are just ballads and classics that we already, know. So I think that's why it feels so comfortable, right? The music's
Yeah,
all, yeah.
definitely can believe all of that.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. Let's look at some trivia stuff that we got going on. We've already talked about how they filmed the phone sequence, so we don't need to go over that again or anything. Um, oh, so yeah, so the scene between it's a split screen scene that's got Billy Crystal on one side and Meg Ryan on the other side, and they're watching. what movie is it, Casablanca? Yeah, it's like
I think
Casablanca.
so.
They're watching
Yes.
and they're
Yes.
having a conversation and whatnot. That was apparently also filmed the same way, where they were just on the phone talking to each other while they were filming that stuff back and forth. But like the more important to me about that is like, and this is just me being old and this is just me being nostalgic, but like, do you ever miss just being on the phone with somebody for hours and watching the same thing on television and talking about it? Like whether it was a TV show that was airing live for the first time, or like you and a friend put on a movie at the same time and just we're like, we've both seen this movie 100 times, but like let's just put it on and we'll talk while it's on. Like, am I the only person that like has a nostalgia for something like that?
No, you're not the only one.
Okay.
I definitely I miss those long phone conversations of just existing together, but in a different space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the world is just so different now, and so
Yeah.
like overall, we can be super connected because we all have cell phones now. We could literally do that anywhere in the world, but like nobody wants to talk on their phone anymore. Like nobody wants that connection.
I feel like almost like people just don't have the attention span anymore. Like they want like new fluttering things. Like it's almost like you could be talking to someone and you can tell when they start scrolling on their phone. You can tell you're like, you are not listening to me anymore. You have started scrolling and they're like, huh? What? And it's like,
Mhm.
okay, bye. But no, I think that people do not talk on the phone like they used to. And I love doing it and I miss talking on the phone. Like it's one of my favorite things.
So like this is completely off topic. We're going completely side venture now.
Sidetrack, let's do it.
Totally. With you talking about people like hitting the point where they just start scrolling and whatnot. I recently saw an interview with Matt Damon, and Matt Damon was talking about his new movie that him and Ben Affleck have on Netflix called The Rip. Which number one, I highly recommend watching it. Anybody that's listening, The Rip on Netflix. Ben and Matt, they are prime. It's a great action movie. It's a slow action movie, but it's a very great story. Highly recommend it. So Matt was talking about this, and apparently Netflix literally tells the writers of things on Netflix that you verbally have to remind the people watching it what the plot is every 15 minutes because they're afraid of them scrolling on their phones, not paying attention, and forgetting what the plot is. So, literally, every 15 minutes in a Netflix movie, they verbally have to remind the viewer what's actually going on in the movie. And like, don't get me wrong, I don't remember them doing that in the rip, but when I go back and rewatch it, I'm sure I'm gonna catch it now and be like, oh yeah, that's exactly what Matt was talking about. But like, I feel like that's probably why I don't like most of the net. Like, not that like no Netflix movie have I ever watched and been like that was a piece of crap. I mean, there's some that are better than others, but like they're all just kind of blah until this one. Like this is the first one where I was like, Netflix hit it, and I mean, I don't know, maybe it's because it's Ben and Matt, who knows? But like most of the Netflix movies have been very blah. And like, I'm wondering if I just didn't realize that that's part of why it's blah, is because every 15 minutes they have to remind people who have started scrolling on their phones what's actually going on in the thing that they're supposed to be watching.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that they were doing that. I'm gonna have to like watch for it now.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yep.
but I do know that I've watched things and I've gotten annoyed that the character starts saying things to like their mother or something that is re-explaining like you wouldn't say that to your mom. Like just giving plot points and like maybe that's it where you're talking about it's like
Yep.
why would you say, that wouldn't be a natural thing that you would just say to your mom, giving plot points away. And I've
Yep.
noticed it on like Hallmark because my mom has those playing a lot
Okay.
where I'm just like, what this is doesn't feel natural, you
And I
know?
mean, maybe it's bigger than Netflix. Maybe it's like
Okay.
Hollywood in general these days.
Yeah.
Maybe Hallmark has the same thing. Oh, every 15 minutes we need to remind people what they're watching. Like
Yeah.
who's trying to take who away from who in this and win them in this Christmas thing. Like I don't know. It could be a bigger than Netflix thing. Like Matt just came out and said it about like how Netflix executives told them the script had to be and stuff like that. And I was just
Hmm.
like that makes a lot of sense. Like that is just unfortunately the viewership that we have these days are people who want to just scroll on their phones. And like,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. I do my best when I'm watching something for the first time to put my phone down. But I'll randomly get a text, and I'll be like, oh, I need to respond to that.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a notification there. I should look at that real quick. And then I realize, oh, fuck, like I
It
haven't
pulled
been
you
paying
out.
attention. It did. And
Yeah.
so like I do my best to not let that happen, but like it happens.
Yeah.
It's just that weird society that we're in now. But like, yeah,
There's no attention span anymore.
there is not, and it
I'm wondering if
sucks.
what's that going to do for the future of just movies? Like, are people not sitting down to watch an hour and a half long movie anymore, you know?
Well, and then the problem is, and like, I mean, let's tangent again. This is a whole huge debate to happen. Is Hollywood allowing this to happen? Like, when you have like a 3 week window in theaters and then all of a sudden drop something on streaming, what is the incentive for anybody to actually go to the theater? Why would I go to a theater? Like, and I unfortunately have fallen into this. Like, I mean, you're aware, my friends and I usually every Thursday night we go out and we watch a movie together, and it's to kind of keep that movie theater experience alive in my group of friends.
Sure.
There are a lot of movies that I see ads for, and I'm like, I'm not willing to sit in the movie theater for that. Like, I will
Yeah.
watch that at home.
Yeah.
But like, it's if studios didn't give us that option, if studios dropped something in the theater, and then if you don't see it in the theater, you have to wait a year. Jurassic Park took over a year from the time it left the theaters to the time it was available on VHS. Like, if you didn't see it in the theater, you had to wait a long time. Like,
Mhm.
there was a somewhat FOMO mentality at that point. Like, oh man, if I don't go see this in the theater, I'm gonna have to wait a year to be able to actually watch this movie. Like, but now they're
Right.
catering to people, and they're like, oh, if you don't see it in the theater, just subscribe to our streaming service, and you can watch it on
Right.
3 weeks later. Like, Hollywood, unfortunately, is like catering to these people that are like making. I feel like is an Aura Borealis or whatever that thing, the snake that eats itself. Like, they're trying
Oh,
to cater to people to get them to sign up for streaming stuff, but by doing that, you're giving up the theatrical part of it. But like, I don't know, and that's my rant. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go off on all of that, but it bothers me.
I want to add to that though. This
Yeah,
I thought was really weird. So Stranger Things, which is
yeah, yeah,
on Netflix,
yep,
just had their big finale in the theaters.
yep,
But you could also stream it, or you could not only give them your, monthly dues for Netflix, you could pay them again to watch it in on the big screen. And like I kept thinking like I'm already paying you once.
yep.
Why would I pay you again? Couldn't I just show my like, hey, I've got, I pay for you already. Can I just watch it in the theater? But like going in and paying again was kind of like, no, you
Okay,
know?
so I do completely understand where you're coming from on that, but I have to play devil's advocate on it because
Okay.
I can't even tell you the amount of films that I own on physical media, and I will still pay to go watch them on the big screen.
Okay.
Specifically, last year I saw Back to the Future 2 different times on the big screen that I paid for, and I own 9 different versions of that on DVD.
Yeah.
Back to the
Yeah.
Future has gotten more money from me than anything in this world. But if I have the chance to, like, I own it. I have it right there. I own it
Sure.
digitally. I don't even have to put a DVD or a Blu-ray into anything. I own it, and I will still pay for the experience in the theater. And it's different because it's Netflix. I get that part, but just as a devil's advocate, like paying to see something on the big screen you're paying for the experience, in my opinion.
Yes, but I feel like the theaters are starting to lack on the experience part,
Sure,
right?
sure.
They're
Well, and
starting
like,
to not be as comfortable of an experience as being at home. Like, I have a great sound system. I can pop my own popcorn. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the theater isn't as magical as it used to be, which
well, and
is
then even on
sad.
top of that, the Alamo Draft House, which is supposed to be one of like the best theater going experiences, you know, ever. I've still never been to an Alamo Draft House. We have one here in Indy. Still never made the time to go to it, but they just announced that they are doing away with concessionists. You literally
What?
will go up, you have to order your concessions on their app, and then they will have it ready for you. Like they're doing away with people actually taking your orders, and I'm like, this is where we're headed. Like this, I don't know. It's
Fun fact, I saw at the Alamo for the first time, I saw the Spinal Tap reboot or the two.
oh, okay.
To
I
circle back.
sadly, yeah, I sadly have still not watched the sequel, which this is like this is Spinal Tap is literally one of my favorite comedies ever. Like I love everything about Spinal Tap.
Uh
Because like you talked about earlier, like the mockumentary thing when I was let's see, I think it was around 99, 2000, maybe 98 that I saw it for the first time, and it blew my mind. Like I had
yeah.
never seen anything like that. And so I became obsessed with it. I'm disappointed in myself that I have not made the time to watch the sequel yet. Is the sequel worth my time?
Absolutely.
That's good.
Absolutely. Especially if you love the first two,
Okay.
you're gonna, it's 11. 11.
Okay. I like it. Awesome. All right. We've digressed enough about the theater going experience in the world. Let's jump back here. I don't know if you noticed this. In When Harry Met Sally, in one of the scenes, Harry is reading Stephen King's Misery, which would be the next movie that Rob Reiner directed. So I always thought that that was a really cool like setup.
Which scene is that?
I don't know if it's the bookstore scene
Because
or
he was in
just
the self-help section,
okay. Then it's not the bookstore scene. I can't remember what scene it's in.
but maybe he's holding that book Misery in the self-help section because it could be a commentary on 'cause since the movie is kind of about Rob Reiner's dating life and he was miserable with dating at the time, it could have been a hilarious nod to the dating scene to have the word misery,
Um,
you know? That's
understand?
really
Yeah.
that's cool.
Um, so yeah, we can talk about that. So like Rob Reiner and Nora Ephron were really good friends, and so a lot of Harry was written based on what Nora Ephron saw Rob Reiner going through during his first divorce, and
Hmm.
then a lot of Sally's stuff was based on Nora Ephron being single and dating in New York City and stuff like that. So like their friendship is really kind of the basis for this entire movie with those two characters, based around them.
And I
So I always thought
heard
that was super cool.
I heard that that's how Sally ordered food at a restaurant is really how
Yes,
Nora Ephron orders food at a restaurant.
yes.
It's
Supposedly
always
Rob Reiner said you have to put that in the
yes.
script because like that's always stood out to him about how she, yes, apparently she is very like super aggressive with her food orders and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's awesome. Um, And then I really love the device they use in this movie with the couples talking
Oh yeah.
talking about how they met each other in between kind of the time jumps and whatnot. And I really think that it's overall just kind of how Rob Reiner kind of frames a lot of his movies because if you think about like Spinal Tap, there's a lot of interviews, with people that break up some of the scenes and things like that. And then earlier I was talking about the movie The Story of Us that I really love with Bruce Willis and Michelle Pfeiffer. It gets broken up with having therapy scenes between the scenes like of them and their family and stuff like that. It cuts to them when they're in therapy. So I really enjoyed the framing device that he tends to use for a lot of his dramas, at least. Well, I mean comedies, I guess. Not so much with Misery or Stand by Me or A Few Good Men. Those are very much more narrative structures. But some of his comedies, stuff like that, I really enjoyed the way that he frames them with things like that. And then we mentioned the mockumentary genre that Christopher Guest ran with, and like Best of Show and all those have a very similar concept of throwing the interviews with people in between the actual scenes and stuff like that. So I just wanted to point out that I really think that that is a great narrative storytelling device that he seems to use quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to add one more thing
Do
about
it. Yeah, let's go.
When Harry Met Sally that I think is very important. Um, Rob Reiner met his wife Michelle while he was filming this film.
No
The
way. Okay.
the original ending of When Harry Met Sally does not have them ending up together at all
Okay.
because Rob Reiner had been divorced. He was on the
Yep.
dating scene. He was very bitter about it, right? He met her while he was filming it. fell in love with Michelle. They
Wow.
ended up, getting married, I think a few months after the film wrapped. But because he had fallen in love, he was like, I've decided to change the ending of the film
Oh,
and
oh.
make it so Harry and Sally actually get back together in the end.
Okay.
But originally, they were just supposed to meet each other and be like, how's life? Cool, bye, and walk away their separate ways.
Oh, wow. I did not
So,
know that. That's crazy.
so him meeting Michelle and falling in love changed the whole film.
That's awesome. That is
The whole
super
film.
cool.
Yeah.
And well, now that you mentioned that, one other thing, I believe it was Tom Hanks was originally up for the role of Harry, and when they gave him the
Really?
script, he was happily married and said that he couldn't connect with the character of Harry and how angry and bitter he was and whatnot. So he was like, I'm not interested in doing this movie. I don't feel like I can connect with the Harry character. So apparently Tom Hanks passed on doing the movie because he was happily married, not to Kelly Preston at the time, but to somebody else. Not Kelly Preston. That's John Travolta. Who is he married to now? Tom Hanks,
Um,
Rita Wilson.
Thank you. Yeah.
He was not married to her at that point. He was married to his other wife. But so yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting too when I was doing some reading up about this was that Tom Hanks turned down the role because of that.
That's interesting. And then he goes on to do a rom-com with Meg Ryan anyways,
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
written by the
All right,
same
Annette. All right. Let's
writer.
let's 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 focus this up. We're gonna start wrapping this up here. I have to ask you to tell me as much as you need to, what is it that you love about this movie? Sell this movie to somebody who hasn't seen the movie yet. Like what is it that made you want to talk to me about this movie today?
I think it's a beautiful film about human stories and just love and relationships. Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's a very and it's very like real and human and just kind of normal. Like this could be any of your friends. These could be any of the people that you know in your life, going through a story together. And I think it's very common for people to weave in and out of each other's lives. And sometimes you're just friends and then sometimes things work. I think it's kind of just a normal feeling, like a homey feeling, cozy story.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I like the fact that there's no real overall arc to it. It's literally just like vignettes of these two people and when their lives do end up crossing. I think it's a very good film. I think it's nice to see how people's lives and paths cross and the story that that creates. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you picking this film for us to talk about. Thank you so much. You
Yeah.
are always an awesome guest on the show. I appreciate you being willing to come back and do another episode with me.
Thanks for letting me
So
switch it up.
yeah, no worries. Well, I mean, Jason switched his on me. He originally picked Friday the 13th, Part 3, and then changed it to Serenity. Troy originally picked Moneyball and then switched it to Dazed and Confused. So apparently and now that I bring it up, two other people within the last 2 weeks have changed their movies on me
Oh,
also. So I think when I first reached out to people, people just picked something. And then I think as I come to the point where I'm like, I'm working on your script now and like, so because of the three of you, I've literally started texting people before I write their script. And I say, hey, I'm about to start working on your script. Are you sure this is the movie you're going to do? And two people this last week have changed their movies on me. So luckily I didn't have their scripts written yet. But
oh, good.
yeah. So next up, as of now, the schedule, our next episode is going to be with my friend Mark Buckwalter, and Mark is going to come on here to talk about the horror comedy club Dread. So that is what we have to look forward to next. Annette, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here, and we will be back in 2 weeks.
Thank you.